Good morning, everyone. So glad to be with you this beautiful summer day. Hope this finds you well this morning. Let's begin our talk as we do every Sunday by harmonizing our hearts and our minds. Just placing your hands on your heart. Let's take some deep breaths. Just allowing the breath to bring you fully present to this space, this time. Just breathing in the light that is the divine, letting it fill you. And let's say these words together. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. So I'm going to start my talk today. I'm going to share my screen, which I have not done before. So let's all know that technology cooperates. I'm going to share my screen and show you a beautiful painting called The Narrow Gate. This is a painting. It's painted by a woman by the name of Sonia Shannon. And when I first saw this, it was up on a big wall at Mile High Church down in Lakewood. And I walked into the room and I saw this huge painting, and it literally took my breath away as I sat there and looked at this beautiful sight. And the reason that it touched me so deeply is because it so accurately depicted my life. The woman in the back there with the heavy coat and the baggage, and then moving forward into the light. And it moved me not just because it represented my own life, but because I could see that this is humanity, isn't it? Is it not? This is what we go through as humans, particularly on a spiritual path. And so, one moment we're feeling peace and we're feeling connection and we're feeling lightness and we're feeling joy. And then the next, we're back carrying those heavy bags and wearing that heavy coat. How many of you can relate to what I'm saying? Raise your hands, even though I can't see you. I trust that you're with me. Yeah, we have all been here. We have all experienced this on the journey. Yeah, so how quickly we can descend. Yeah, we can descend into the darkness. And it starts with our mind, does it not? It starts with thoughts in our mind that carry us backwards. Or it can carry us forward. As quickly as we can descend, we can just as quickly ascend and move to the light. Yeah, and so the cycle, it goes back and forth. And as we move along our spiritual path, don't you notice that less and less we come back to carrying those heavy loads, less and less we come back to wearing that heavy coat and carrying all that baggage. As we move forward on our path, we begin to release, we begin to move into our hearts and experience that connection to the divine that we all have experienced and felt so deeply within us. Yeah, and so, but as humans, we focus so much on the conditions of our life at times, don't we? The conditions meaning what's happening right now, how we're feeling in our bodies. We have an illness, we have a sickness, we have something going on in our life, and we're focused on that. We're focused on that very thing, the pain that we're going through, or whatever that may be. And so when we do this, when we're focused on the conditions, it impacts our vibration. Now, our vibration, for some of you that may not be familiar with that word, but that vibration is really what we are emitting. It's what gets extended out from our bodies, and it's based on what's going on with our mind and our heart and our being at the time. So if we're focused on negative thoughts, if we're filled with all of these thoughts that are bringing us downward into that downward spiral, then what we are emitting is a match to that. The opposite is also true. When we are in our heart and we're in that light filled place and we are feeling peace and we are emanating love, then that is what our vibration is. Now, our vibration is key because what shows up in our life matches our vibration. So that's one of the laws of the universe, is that whatever we emit, whatever we put out, it returns to us. It shows up in the experiences of our life. And so all of us are likely familiar with this. If you've been on a spiritual path for a while, you know this stuff. You've heard of the law of attraction. You've heard that like attracts like. You've heard of our vibration and how our vibration brings to us the things that align with what that vibration is. But I'm reminding all of us, because in my experience, no matter how long we're on a spiritual journey, and this includes me, we forget. We forget these simple principles that are so powerful. Today's talk is about freeing our mind. It's about freeing our mind and the rest will follow. I believe that is a song, yeah? But, how do we do that? How do we free our mind? How do we do that? We do that by becoming very aware of our emotions and our thoughts and what is moving through us and paying attention to that. Dr. Ernest Holmes said, we can sit in the shade or we can move into the sunshine. Sitting in the shadow, we may not really believe that there is any sunshine, but the sun is there all the time, and all the time we are in bondage. The real freedom exists. It is there, but we must awaken to it. So what he's saying is that we have a choice. We all have a choice to take off that heavy coat when our mind is filled with thoughts of fear, when our mind is filled with thoughts of pain or anxiety or whatever it is that we're experiencing, that we have a choice to drop that heavy coat, to take it off, and to let go of that baggage. We as humans tend to block our good. We block it from coming to us by staying in those stories that tell us that we're not good enough, that tell us that we have made a mistake, that tell us that something in the future is going to happen. How often do we spend our time and our energy in the future focused on something that hasn't even happened yet? And our mind carries us forward into that thing, and before we know it, we've spiraled downwards into a panic. We've all done this. And then we're back wearing that heavy coat, carrying those heavy bags. And so, it's interesting though. It's not about the event. When you think about those moments in your life when you've been triggered by something, we've all been there too. Yeah. Those moments when someone has said something or someone has done something, and you could feel the emotion coming up in you. You can feel the anger. You can feel the frustration, the irritation, the sadness, whatever that emotion is, you can feel it coming up in you. And here's the thing, that it's not about the event itself or even what that person did. It's about what we make it mean. It's about our own thoughts and what we tell ourselves about that situation, about that person, about that interaction. It's what we tell ourselves. It's the stories that we tell ourselves. The events that happen in our life are neutral. They're completely neutral. Think about it. Think about an incident in your own life, something that happened, and what did you make it mean? What was the meaning that you added to it? What were the thoughts that came in that told you whatever it told you about the event? It's our thoughts that create the discord within us. It's our thoughts that create the pain and the sorrow and the upset and the sadness. And then we return right back. We're right back carrying those heavy bags and wearing that heavy coat. But you know, as quickly as we can descend, we can just as quickly ascend, right? We can just as quickly move into the light. Yeah. And you know, those moments when it's gotten a hold of us, those moments when we can't quite get out of it. We know we've heard these messages, we've read all the books, the New Thought books, and we've heard teachers talk about the light and moving to the light, but there are those moments when we are just stuck. Happens to every single one of us. And we know, we speak as if we know the truth. Nope, this is how it is. This is who they are. This is how it's going to be. We get so self-righteous about it. We say it as if there is no other way. And so that gets us into trouble. As soon as we declare something so strongly, you know, Ernest Holmes talked about praying with conviction. There's a reason why conviction is so powerful, whether we're praying about what we desire or we're putting our energy and our vibration is focused on what it is we don't want, what it is that's missing from our life, what it is that we don't desire in our life. If our vibration, if we have a choice as to how we want to emit from our beings, from our bodies, the vibration that we want to put out to the world, if we have a choice, which do you want to choose? But we first have to be consciously aware of what's happening. So we slow down, we take a breath, we become aware. Notice what you're feeling, notice the emotion that is there. Whatever the emotion is, it's not to judge or make yourself wrong, but it's to simply just notice what is there. And then ask the question. Closing your eyes and asking the question, what are you inviting me to see right now? What is the invitation for me right now? In this moment, as I'm feeling this emotion, as I'm feeling this discord, this anxiety, this fear, whatever it may be, what are you inviting me to look at right now? It's a powerful question to ask. And as soon as we do that, the mind slows down. Our mind becomes more free just by simply asking the question. And as slowly we move toward the light as we ask that question. And often what comes as the answer is to trust. I suspect 9 times out of 10, if you asked yourself this question in those moments of discord, you would get the answer of trust, of faith. So we have tremendous power in as far as what we decide, what we want to focus on, what we want to give power to. Joe Dispenza said, when you think about it, the real difference between animals and ourselves is that although we both experience stress, humans re-experience and pre-experience traumatic situations. So what he is saying is that we relive experiences over and over again in our minds, causing us to relive. As we relive it, we're reliving the trauma all over again. And I love what he said about pre-experiencing traumatic situations. Those things that haven't happened yet, but we are living them out as though they're happening right now. How much energy do we spend focusing on things that haven't even happened yet? Our energy is there, and we're creating that trauma within our bodies, within our hearts. If our minds are powerful enough to create the worst case scenarios about what could happen or what if this happens, couldn't we use the mind to create what it is that we desire? Couldn't we use the mind to create the thing that we want to experience, that will bring us the most joy, the most happiness, the most peace, whatever it is that we desire, that we can make that choice and decision in that moment to say, this is what I want to experience? We can do either one, can we not? Louise Hay, who wrote the famous book, You Can Heal Your Life, most of us are familiar with that book. She said, I do not fix my problems, I fix my thinking. And these problems fix themselves. So what she's saying is just a matter of shifting our perception. Our perception is everything. And it can change on a dime. It can change in an instant. In 2013, my mom was admitted to ICU. It was due to some complications as a result of alcohol. Her organs were shutting down. And so she was admitted to ICU and she was unconscious. And for 10 days, she remained there. And although I had hoped that she would improve and get better, she continued to decline. I was the only one with her in that room. I was the only one with her when she died. My brother Mark hadn't spoke to my mom in 5 years. Her twin sister, Lavon, who lived an hour away, chose to not come. They had some issues. They cared about each other, but they definitely had their issues. And so there I was with my mom. And when she passed, she was in a hospital bed, a stale environment. It was sad to me. Yes, I was sad that she died, but I was more sad at the way she died, that she died in the space that she died in. And then I was the only one in the room with her. And so as I reflected on her death, there was a moment, this divine intervention happened, this beautiful moment happened, where I got the idea to actually envision what I wanted for her death, to bring into my mind and heart how I wanted it to be, the ideal way I wanted her to die. And so I saw her in her bed at home, in her beautiful bedroom, her burgundy and gold colored bedspread and her matching burgundy curtains, soft lighting and soft music shimmering off her bedspread, the colors of her bedspread. I saw my brother Mark there and my aunt Lavon and myself, and we stood around her and we held hands and we sang and we prayed. And as I tell this story, it's as if it happened. I can feel it as if this is what actually happened to her death when she died. And as she transitioned, we continued praying and singing, and we embraced each other. It was the most loving and precious moment. And it's as if it happened. It got created in my heart. This divine intervention came in and said, create something new. Create it however you want to create it. And how powerful that was for me. And so, the divine gave me the sweetest gift that day. A memory that was filled with pain was suddenly filled with joy. And whenever I think about her death, it brings a smile to my face because I think about that moment in her bedroom and how she passed in such a peaceful way with the three of us around her, supporting her and loving her. Feeling the pain of loss and of something challenging that we're going to is important for our healing. But I share this story with you because of the power of our mind and how our mind can shift so quickly. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who studies neuroscience in the brain, he determined that our brain doesn't know the difference between what is real in the external world and what we are imagining in our mind. If any of you have ever done visioning where you've closed your eyes and you've done exactly what I did in the story that I described, you can experience it as though it's happening right now. And you can feel the joy in you. You can feel the excitement in you. Yeah, we've all done that. And our heart starts to open and it's as if we open our eyes and we realize, oh, I'm in my bedroom right now, but I just had a whole vision that I was on vacation in Italy, right? And our bodies feel it. And suddenly the vibration that we're emitting is joy and excitement and happiness, right? All of that comes through us when we do that. Our thoughts are creative. Our thoughts are powerful. Our thoughts can either free our mind or our thoughts can shut us down. Every time we choose a thought that feels better, we release the baggage, we release that heavy coat, and we move towards the light. One set of thoughts takes us to heaven. The other set of thoughts takes us to hell. Heaven and hell are not a destination, as many of us have been taught in other religions. They are states of consciousness. And so we can create an experience of heaven by focusing on what it is that we desire, by creating in our mind and heart what it is that we want in our life. Something that brings us joy, something that brings us excitement and enthusiasm and love and energy. Hell is carrying all of that heavy baggage, focusing on what it is we don't have, what's missing in our life, focusing on something that perhaps or possibly could happen in the future. And suddenly we're spiraling downwards. That's hell. When we notice ourselves carrying those bags again, when we notice ourselves carrying that heavy burden, we can then say to ourselves, what is this thought? What is this memory? What is this experience showing me, inviting me to do, inviting me to see? And then notice what comes. Notice what comes into your heart. Notice what is being shown to you. Ernest Holmes said, we suffer not because suffering is imposed upon us, but because we are ignorant of our true nature. So see yourself flying like the woman in the painting. Arms are outstretched and her heart is open wide. See yourself moving toward the light, whatever that light represents for you. See yourself moving in that direction. Our true nature is divinity in form. That is who we are. Our true nature is love and joy and peace and harmony. Let's consciously choose to fly. Let's consciously choose to move to the light, taking off that heavy coat and releasing all of our baggage. Let's affirm together, repeat after me, and say this out loud wherever you are. I choose life. I choose beauty. I choose love. I choose joy. I choose peace. I choose harmony. Beautiful. Although I can't hear you, I can feel it. Those who are enlightened have disciplined their minds. They know that the mind can destroy them if they allow it. They use the tool of the mind to choose in the moment when they feel themselves or notice that their mind is going in a direction that they don't want. They consciously choose to bring themselves back into their heart. They stop the thought that isn't healthy, that isn't joyous, that isn't peace-filled. They stop it right there in the moment. It takes practice, but we all can do this. We can tune into the beauty of the world, or we can tune into the noise of the world. And sometimes the noise gets really loud, whether it's in our head or it's the noise that we witness in the news or what is going on outside of us externally. And sometimes the noise is trying to get our attention. So it's not always, we don't always want to push the noise aside or ignore the noise, because the noise sometimes has a message for us and is trying to wake us up and trying to get us to pay attention and to wake up. So we as humans, we need to discern for ourselves. Is the noise something that I am creating in my own mind, that I am blowing out of proportion? Or is the noise something that is trying to get my attention in a different way? And so that's when we can stop and ask and tune in. What is it inviting me to look at right now? What is it here to teach me? We don't want to bypass it. We can do that too as spiritual beings. We can do that spiritual bypass, but we don't want to do that either. So we have to discern for ourselves, what is this trying to show me? And then take the next step. Life is filled with opportunities every day, every moment of our lives. It is filled with opportunities to say, I choose this thought. I'm going to choose this perception, this lens versus this one. We can do it in a second. We can do it so quickly. And each time we do that, it creates a different experience. We're either going to be moving to the light, or we're going to be carrying those heavy bags and wearing that heavy coat. It's up to us. And so we free the mind with so many experiences. When we do so many things, we free the mind when we forgive someone we've been holding resentment towards, when we make that choice. We free our mind when we no longer focus on what's missing in our life or what's not working, and instead focus on what's possible and what we're grateful for. We free our mind when we let go of the stories that we've created that make us feel like crap. We free our mind when we choose to no longer focus our attention on a past wound and instead focus on what it's here to teach us. We free our mind when we choose a thought that feels better, choosing a thought that brings a smile to our face and joy to our heart. We free our mind when we choose to know that we are a child of the universe and that there is a power within us that guides every move. We free our mind when we can connect with the beauty of nature or the beauty of a moment with someone we love. We free our mind when we pause to notice the magnificence of life. And when we feel gratitude in our heart for all that we have. Let's move into the light and let's choose to fly. Let's pray. So taking a deep breath, we feel that magnificence of life, the beauty and grace of life. We know that we can free our minds as we let go of the stories, we let go of the baggage, we let go of that heavy coat. And we make that powerful choice to move into the light, to step into the light, that place where joy lives, where peace lives, where harmony lives, where grace lives, all the beauty of God lives. And so I am knowing for each of us that we are able to make those choices in those moments, that we are able to tune in and ask, what is this inviting me to see? What is this inviting me to learn? What is this teaching me right now? I am knowing that as we walk this earthly walk as spiritual beings, as we move along our spiritual path, that we are each enlightened, that we make those choices that are supportive to our well-being, to our mind, and to our heart. And as we feel gratitude in this moment, we are free. As we feel love in this moment, we are free. And so with that, we feel all of the joy of this experience called life, and we release it. We let it go. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.